If you're seeing this before January 18th, you can expect some kind of serious ancestral closings before we get there. It depends on your relationship with your ancestors and what that's going to look like in the line that you come from, the stuff that you're working on, the stuff that Spirit has you in. The reason for this is because we have a new moon in Capricorn that starts on January 18th, so we have a new moon cycle. We're also going to see this as the final moon cycle before we get into eclipse season. And in that eclipse season, we have a new moon in Aquarius where Pluto is, Pluto being one of the planetary rulers around ancestral work and relations. So before we get into the new moon in Capricorn and we're in this final moon cycle before the eclipses, this is also one of the first new moons in Capricorn after Pluto in Capricorn. We had one in the previous year, but we also had a new moon in Scorpio last year where Pluto was still in Capricorn, so the moon cycles were a little bit different, okay? But this year we had a new moon in Scorpio where Pluto's in Aquarius. So the ancestral work over this previous year and in the coming couple of years while the Aquarius eclipses turn, okay, that ancestral work is changing. So before we get to this new moon in Capricorn, we're going to see some closures, some closings, things that have been ruminating, floating around, possible cycles that you haven't yet broken and need to be broken before we get to this kind of next phase, next chapter, next era energy. If you do the work with the ancestors, okay, time to really tap in, pay attention because that's some intimate personal work. All right. The other thing I want to say too is I know that there's a lot of people who follow me who don't necessarily keep up an ancestral altar. They're interested in it, haven't started it. Lots of layers to like the beginnings of that. If you have not yet started having ancestral altar experiences, okay, one of the things to pay attention to is patterns within your family. Could be mom and dad stuff coming up, you know, siblings, and anything related to the people and the stories that you know about within your living world of family space. You may find personal things coming to an end at this time as well. So you got a couple different layers to it. We're also an ancestor walking around. Crazy, I know. So you could also find some personal endings as it comes to those relations with those family members, cycles that you might be working on. Again, mom and dad healing stuff. There's a lot of other nuance to that. Look at your healing work. That is probably going to be applicable. And then once we step into January 18th and we are in this new moon cycle, we finally get to experience a new moon in Capricorn where both the new moon in Scorpio and the new moon in Capricorn, we have Pluto in Aquarius. So we're in the new era totally and finally. So we're going to feel some alleviations. There's also going to be some more endings, but it'll be endings because there's new beginnings ancestrally over the coming moon cycle. So we can expect some lift ups from the underworld, some things returning to the human realms rather than being in the under realms, the shadow realms. We may also see some fortune possibly surface from this on a personal level. It's gonna really depend on the work that you've been doing for the entirety of Pluto and Capricorn and what you've noticed is already surfacing because we're no longer in that era, okay? So on a lot of personal note levels, if you want to sit and think about it, that's what to work with. Okay. Gratitude, reverence, and love to you. Keep up the brew that you do. I will too. Spirit over here has had me brewing, so I will be doing as a brewer does. And I'll talk to you soon. Also true.